Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their edtech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Harish. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneur Show. Thanks so much for taking time out for this.
Sure, Jax. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be on this show. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure as well, Harish. Harish, my first question would be, I know that you've been in the teaching circuit for a long time now.
Yes.
I'd like you to start off with how did you get into teaching, and currently, what do you teach?
Uh, Teaching was not a career that I intended. I was originally in software
Right.
testing and stuff like that. But then I always had a
Hmm.
passion for sharing knowledge, and the way I was explaining things, even in schools and colleges, was much appreciated. My ability to deconstruct complex concepts and ideas and present it to the people. So I thought, let
Right.
me get into this because this GRE was there, and there were people taking this test, and I thought, let me give it a try. Okay, and so that's how I
Right.
got in. And uh, how long? I think maybe I shall answer the second question first. Maybe you said how long I have been doing it, right? Yeah, it's been
Right.
around 15 years, probably, 14 to
Right.
15 years I've been doing.
Right.
And so when I got in, actually, there was a need for a part-time trainer at Manhattan Review, okay, which is
Hmm.
a well-known institute. So that's how I got in. And once I got in there,
Hmm.
I became full-time. And then I even had a very brief stint as while training in Princeton Review. Uh,
Hmm.
and then the other reputed institute I was working in is Crack Verbal. But initially, I started as a part-time trainer in Manhattan Review and then became full-time trainer. And once I established myself in Bangalore, when Manhattan Review started a branch in Chennai, Habibullah Road.
Right.
So they sent me to set up the verbal section of it, the complete thing, along with the test materials and classroom materials. And another guy was in charge of the quant setup. So that was because I was doing well in Bangalore, and they were happy, and they trusted me to set it up in Chennai. And I was teaching in Chennai for some time. And
Right.
then I came back to Bangalore because of some personal reasons. And once here, I decided to get into crack verbal because I started experimenting with GMAT because I had become very familiar with the GRE. I wanted to challenge myself and go to the next level. GMAT is much more difficult than GRE. So I joined
Okay.
crack verbal, and I was teaching there both verbal and quants. But because of the distance was too much from my house to the Crack Verbal Institute, 2 hours up and down.
Right.
So I thought, and by the time I had also gotten a lot of word of mouth referrals. People who had trained under me in Manhattan Review, they were recommending my friends,
Right.
and also on Urban Pro I had advertised.
Right.
Okay, there was, so yeah, I was getting referrals from there. So I thought, okay, let me do it at home myself, and so that's how I started doing it home. But even after
Got it.
that, I still used to do part time with many institutes online.
Got it. Do you still work with other institutes, or now are you on your own,
Uh,
Harish?
I am on my own, but once in a while, some institutes call up. See, I had an institute from Haryana. I think it was called. I forgot its name
Right.
because I've been doing like this with many institutes. So
Got it. Got it.
I was teaching. I was teaching there, and then there is. I don't know whether you've heard of FACE, which is
Yeah.
or
Face
I
I have
call
heard.
it an.
Yes.
Huh. They wanted me. They contacted me, and I was taking for PSG College Coimbatore. I took a course
Mm-hmm.
there, GRE course.
Mm-hmm.
So in this way, like I kind of like keep tying up. And Face also had a branch called Chalk Street. Now it is closed. It was called
Okay.
Chalk Street. They were like the trying to be the Udemy of India.
Got it.
that was their plan. So they wanted to get into the online recorded courses, that space.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I was the course evangelist for GRE for them.
Right.
So I did the first GRE course for them, and there I experimented with different teaching methods. First was, on the board with printed papers, A3 size papers, and also on using tablets and all that. So the course used three different formats to make it more engaging, to hold the students' interest, to break the monotony.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of that course got a lot of traction. We had thousands of students signing up for that. Uh, yeah, probably a lakh. I don't know the exact figures. So yeah, that was a good experience. And yeah, even in Urban Pro, I was quite doing well. I got the Best GRE Tutor Award in 2014 when
Okay.
I was teaching in Urban Pro. The students gave me very good reviews, so I got this award around 2014. And
Got it,
so
Harish.
I've been doing quite well in the studies department. And, so yeah,
Got it. So currently, what are you teaching, Harish? Currently, what are
I'm
you teaching?
currently
What's your main
I'm
thing?
main course is GRE. That's the main offering. And
Okay.
I also do IELTS or TOEFL whenever I have free time and the students demand it. The thing is, the GRE is a very tough one, and IELTS, I really have to go down to a different level. But okay, that's
Right.
fine. I enjoy doing it both, and so I have been teaching that as well.
Got it, Harish. So GRE is a graduate record exam, and that is for people who want to do masters in science in the US. Correct?
That's right. Masters in science and see, even arts courses, humanities courses like
Right.
history, geography, and even journalism, they also demand the GRE. It's like kind of a catch-all thing. The
Got it.
idea is that it's a common test for a lot of these things. So I have had non-science people also come
Right.
in as my
Right.
students, doctors,
Got it,
medical
Harish.
related, but not total complete medical one, not an MD, but something
Mm-hmm.
related to say biomedical stuff, where it's a combination of math and biology.
Right.
Probably they use it for diagnosis or something like that, stuff like that. They have so many different super specializations in the USA. So some of these
Right.
require a GRE.
Got it, Harish. And GRE as a course, typically with each student, how long does it take to complete it? Do you offer a package or is it an hourly basis? How does it go?
Yeah, it is hourly, it is package and hourly basis. In the
Mm-hmm.
sense that, see, the regular offering is 24 hours verbal, 24 hours quants.
Okay.
Okay. And that includes theory. I take them the theory, the concepts, and all that. And then I go to
Mm-hmm.
the problems and then tips and tricks and stuff like that. Because my
Mm-hmm.
experience in teaching these institutes was we were mainly giving them tips and tricks. That's all. They really didn't
Right.
seem to have the fundamentals. So when I decided to do it on my own, I wanted to rectify this error,
Right.
teaching error. So I thought I'll first begin by giving the tips and I'm sorry, the foundation. So if I say for example, fractions or prime numbers, I would first like to give the theory behind prime numbers, cover them in
Right.
depth, cover fractions and
Right.
quadratic equations in depth, and then go to the problems where I offer tips and tricks. The advantage of
Right.
this method is sometimes because of they're strong in the fundamentals, they sometimes invent some tips and tricks on their own. The students themselves are able to do it apart from
Right.
what I give. And also they can handle any oddball questions on the GRE because their fundamentals are strong. So they are not
Right.
foxed by questions where questions that are unfamiliar. Because as tutors, we can only guess 99% of the type of questions. There's always a 1% which 1% of questions which can occur, which is not covered in the class. So the
Got it.
student should be ready for that. So for that, tips and tricks are not enough. You need to have a thorough grounding in that fundamentals.
Got it. And what are your modes of teaching, Harish? Do you only teach online, or do you also do in person, face to face?
Well, I was doing both. There were
Mhm.
students. See, when I was earlier on, I was even doing SAT as well. Okay, so
Okay.
when you're doing SAT, those kids they want online attention. But offline doesn't work.
Oh,
They want to
okay.
be in person because they with them they need a little bit of disciplining. They openly ask for that. They need to be disciplined because of their much younger age and lack of maturity, and even the parents, uh, student, and myself. It's three people
Right,
with
right.
SAT. I have to convince the parents. In fact, when it's actually the parents who call me for SAT, and they insist on a person to face to face. But there is also an online component also. If they have any doubts, and they don't have to come from a distant part of
Right,
Bangalore. That can be done
right.
online, but the basic thing is face to face. And so that was how it was. In GRE also, there were some students who wanted face to face. There were others who were happy with the online. I was doing both face to face and online.
Right,
But
right.
after the pandemic, the whole thing has become online. Nobody comes to my place. They no longer,
Got
because
it.
there is a time spent in traveling, even half an hour, that can be utilized positively.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
online experience is quite good. And see, the thing is, if the teacher is good, they're quite happy. It's just a question of the trust factor.
Right.
So I usually give them a first three classes. I give them a demo class, or I usually promise a money back guarantee if after 10 classes they're still unsatisfied. So they come in
Oh,
and
okay.
all of them are very happy. Nobody has asked me my money
Right.
back, their money back.
Got it. Got it, Harish. And what was the reason for you to move away from SAT to GRE completely?
Um, See, one reason is that with SAT, there were two reasons. One is, of course, the number of SAT students were less, and even those few who came, they not only have to be accommodated offline, but also I have to keep in touch with the parents, and there is both parents and students dealing with that, and
Right,
the student needs to be motivated, and the parents need to be assured. It's more of a psychology game. It's not just teaching. Okay,
right,
with
right, right,
but with GRA, it's not like that. These guys are all go-getters, and already they're very clear in their mind. They just have
right,
to contact their parents for the money part of it. If they are not employed, if they are employed, they just directly come. Okay,
right.
so it's much more hassle-free, psychologically less draining, you can say.
Got it.
At least you don't have to be an expert
Absolutely.
in child psychology and stuff like that.
True, true, true,
Enough if
true.
you focus. Plus, another thing is there are much more GRE students than SAT. So this was like working like you just have to deal with one kind of person, like an assembly line. They come, you have a
Right,
fixed batch, you
right,
teach them. Of course, they are free to contact me anytime. I help them till they write their exam. Okay,
right.
let's say they do a test batch now, their exam is 6 months down the line, and another batch is there. I even let them sometimes rejoin for any material they need, brushing up or stuff like that. Okay, but it's
Got it.
basically you're dealing with adults in a batch like formation. So that is the one thing. And secondly, the GMAT students also, there a lot of them are now started taking the GRE. So there's an influx of more GRE
Okay.
students. So I thought I'll just slip
Interesting.
into that.
Got it, Harish. And what does a typical day look like of late for you? When are you most engaged? And yeah.
See, I start early morning. The first batch starts at 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
because
Okay.
because if see the whether the student is a working professional or is still studying in college, they
Mm-hmm.
have to leave home by 7.
Okay.
Okay, given the
Right,
traffic in the mega cities, Delhi, Mumbai,
right,
Bombay, unless the
right,
student is from say Tirunelveli or any of the tier 2 cities in Tamil Nadu or anywhere else in India. Traffic problem is there. So 6 a.m.
Right.
to 7 a.m. is convenient to most of them. So that's where I have the most work, and then 7 to 8 if they're from
Right.
tier 2. And then later on, what happens is in between, I accommodate the IELTS or anybody who, say, for example, has taken a leave just to prepare for the GRE.
Right.
Then those guys
Mm-hmm.
can be accommodated in the afternoon. And again,
Right.
late in the evening, say 8 to 9 and 9 to 10, again the GRE students who
Got
are
it.
doing the course in the morning. Now they are back
So the
home.
fixed batches are 6 to 7 in the morning, 8 to 9, and 9 to 10 in the evening.
Yeah, like that.
Got it.
Those are the fixed
And do
batches.
you do group? Okay. These are the most
In
probable
between,
timings that you
yeah,
do.
most probable time. And others are also fixed
Right.
batches, but they are the population is much less there, the student population.
Got it. Do you do group classes as well, or do you do only one-on-one? How does that work?
Now, I do group classes as well, but usually my groups are less than 10. So I'm able to
Okay.
give good individual attention,
Right.
uh, as well as the advantages of collaborative learning. Both are there.
Got it. So what's the split between your group classes and your one-on-one?
See, I don't do one-on-one unless I get a specific request for that, and the student is willing to pay more for
Oh,
that.
so you're majorly group. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, because, for example, I remember a student, he said that he wanted to score 330 plus,
Mm-hmm.
and he was almost willing to pay me double my fees.
Okay.
And he came to my place, and
Mm-hmm.
he wanted face to face,
Okay.
special attention only him.
Okay.
So when you have such a dedicated student, you like to take that one-on-one.
Got
So
it.
I have taken, and he did get 333 or something like that. No?
Right.
So if those kind of dedicated people who demand a one-on-one and are willing to pay for the time, they come in, I'm more than happy to take that.
Got it.
Otherwise, for the rest of them who are just looking for a good score, group is
Mm-hmm.
much better than even one-on-one, because the other guys might ask questions which this guy has failed to ask. So there's much greater learning in a group than in a one-on-one.
Right. Got it, Harish. And how do you fill a group batch? Let's say you have 5 people or 6, 8 people. How do you fill the group batch? Because you need to start at the same time, end at the start time, but inquiries will come in different times. How have you streamlined that?
That's a good question. Uh, what I do is, see, the way I teach is it's divided into modules. It's a
Okay.
modular approach that I take.
Mm-hmm.
So the course can be divided into 3 modules. Okay.
Okay.
So joining any one of the modules is not at any point in time is not going to affect the student,
Okay.
because they're all discrete modules. So you don't have to
Right.
necessarily do module 1 and then module 2 and module 3 in that order. So
Got
that
it.
way, I tell my student that they don't have to wait for one full month, because each
Right.
fixed batch will take 1 month to get over. Rather,
Right.
they can get in, say, within, say, 10 days or something. Just have to wait 10 days. So that
Right.
way, I fill the module. So they do module, somebody joins at module 2, he then does module 2, module 3, and goes to module 1. Plus, I also have a lot of videos, knowledge videos,
Okay.
which I offer them, pre-recorded videos, theory,
Have you
content.
recorded them?
Yeah, I have recorded them and they are available to my students. So even if, let's say, they might miss something, say, by directly joining module 2 instead of doing module 1. And that's a minor
Mm-hmm.
thing which I can clarify even in the class. It's not such a big deal. But they also have the option of, even as they're doing module 2, going through the theory and foundational concepts of module 1,
Right.
if they wish, if they have the time. So those videos are available, lifetime availability. So
Mm-hmm.
they can watch those videos, and I even have pre-recorded classes, complete pre-recorded classes. So that also I offer, so that if they miss a class, they still have some place where they can go. So missing a class is not going to be a problem the way I teach.
Got it, Harish. And at any given point in time, what is the number of students that you have active? Max,
Uh,
minimum, approximate number?
Say around it's between 10 and 20.
Between
Okay.
10 and 20. Got it.
Yeah. I have the one reason is I haven't been making a lot of publicity. That's one reason.
Okay.
Probably
10 and 20 is
when I
not a
start,
bad number in itself. It's a good chunk.
good chunk. So I'm planning to further expand. I've been, putting some videos on YouTube about certain concepts, which, again, if somebody misses a class, they can go and watch that. So
Right.
that's the thing.
Right.
The thing is, I love teaching and I don't want to kind of also make the mistake of the big institutes. I have had classrooms with 40 students, 50 students. You really can't
Right.
keep track of them. And most of these people are disinterested. They came just because their parents pushed. But I don't want to take such huge batches. So I just do a limited thing and they all get good scores. I feel happy about that.
Got it. Got it, Harish. And now, after the pandemic, you've only been doing it online, mostly 90%. What does
Yeah.
your online software tool look like? What are the tools that you use?
Well, I primarily use Zoom.
Okay.
That's
You
but
use a
because
paid
after the
version? You use a free version?
paid version, because free
Okay.
version gets stops at 40 minutes.
40
So
minutes.
yeah, they have a limitation. So I use the paid version,
Mm-hmm.
and after pandemic, I think during pandemic, Zoom became famous.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the standard. Earlier on, very earlier on, it was all Skype. Early
Okay.
on, when I started, it was all Skype, and even now, there are students who want Skype. So when the student
Oh, really?
asks,
Okay.
yeah, sometimes, a single student comes, during the lean period, say even December right now, a student might turn up and ask for Skype, things like that.
Right.
I'm
Right.
willing to do it. Like say in the afternoons, I told you when one-on-one happens. But otherwise, it's Zoom. And before that, I tried everything. Um, there was GoToMeeting.
Go to meetings. Yeah.
I was using that for quite some time, GoToMeeting, and
Mm-hmm.
WebEx for a very brief period of time.
Okay.
So these were the two options, GoToMeeting and Cisco, I think. WebEx, I don't remember the
WebEx is
company.
Cisco. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was using those two. But then once the pandemic happened, Zoom exploded all over. Everybody is
Right.
comfortable with Zoom. So that's the only main tool that I use. And of course, you
Got
see,
it,
I
Harish.
also use that's for the online classes. For when the classes are over, I used to even give a mobile app. I even had a mobile app that I was offering.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, but and then I have a forum. Okay, I offer a forum. All the lot of where they can post their questions and I can answer them.
Like a community
Yeah, like a community. That community
discussion
software
forum.
tool I use. Discussion forum.
Got
So
it.
that's another tool that I use. So that way,
Which tool do you use for that?
PHP BB,
Okay.
the open
Got it.
source community software.
It's an open source tool. Got it.
So I can configure it quickly and make even add some extra stuff, like hiding the answers. You don't want, when I
Right.
post a question, I post the answer, but I hide it. After working out themselves, they can then click on that button and see the answer. So that kind
Got it.
of extra add-ons can be done in that community software. So that I
Got it.
use, and so I can also post assignments there, any doubts. So with that, I'm kind of like available 16 hours a day.
Got it. Got it.
16 hours a day, I'm available for clarifying doubts. And of course, WhatsApp is being used. That's the most immediate now. People want WhatsApp. So
Right.
everybody now, the
Right.
WhatsApp has become the community like that. So I create a batch
WhatsApp
in
groups.
WhatsApp. and I can do it there also. So it's a combination of
Got it,
several
Harish.
tools.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And what would you say is your primary channel of student acquisition? Top two
Prime,
channels of student acquisition.
I think Urban Pro has really helped me. And
Okay.
in fact, I was in the third position. At the time, I was teaching as an individual, and I was the only person in the third position. The first two were companies who paid a lot of money and got there,
Okay.
top two listings. But I got that solely through reviews
Mm-hmm.
on Urban Pro, and that was a good source. And then word of mouth. And I also had a YouTube channel, which was also giving me a lot of students. But then suddenly the YouTube took it down because I was answering a question from a big book, which is actually pre 2011. That's a very old material, and it's
A copyrighted version,
available
maybe.
publicly. I don't know. See, it's a very gray area there because that's available all over the internet, and there were other tutors also posting questions from that, answering it. So I
Right.
thought, okay, let me also do it since other well-known tutors were doing it. But suddenly I got a strike from ETS saying that it's a copyright violation, and because I put three questions from there, apart from other sources, I put three questions, and
Right.
they said three strikes, your channel is banned.
Ah, right.
They
Got
banned
it.
it, but when it was running, it was quite successful. I had people from all over the world visiting it, commenting, thanking me, and wanting me to put more. So I think I was getting a lot of students from there too. You know,
Okay.
they were visitors to the channel, YouTube channel were contacting me. So now that's not there, but I'm starting a new channel now, and I'm taking care to create my own questions and post it there.
Got it. Got it, Harish. Harish, I'll probably conclude with this question. When we were discussing, you said you seek to implement a new pedagogical paradigm. So, what is that?
See, one of the things that I have in mind is that
Hmm.
I've been focusing on student-centric learning. So
Right.
my way of teaching is because in the institute it's mostly didactic. You just lecture them. Of course, there is some interaction. I won't deny that, but it is
Right.
mainly one to many, we can say.
Right.
So rather, I would like a one-to-one and one-to-many. So what I was planning to do, and in fact trying to implement, is that having a lot of small lessons, mini lessons,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
network together, so that the student can navigate it like a tree from one concept to another. Because if he's looking at one concept,
Right.
to fully understand that, if it's dependent on another concept, he
Right.
can click through that and go to that concept, and then that might link to another concept. So it's like mirroring the brain neural network, creating a
Got
lot
it.
of associations,
Yeah.
and as well as indexed, hierarchical as well as associated. So kind of lot of lessons like that, and then with a lot of testings built into that, testing schemas where he can take a test anywhere. That is, his classroom learning should mimic the way the brain learns. So it's student-centric. It's almost like he has the chance to create his own courseware, the format of the courseware. With the available
Got it.
materials, he can create his
Got it.
own courseware and, uh, do that kind of thing. And that's the plan, combining
Right.
didactic as well as the brain-oriented stuff.
What is
So I think
didactic?
that's more of that it will require a lot of financial resources. So it's a step-by-step process I'm building that thing.
Right. Got it, Harish. You said something called as didactic. What is didactic?
Didactic is where it's where one person lectures to another person. There is no interaction. That's a
Right. Okay.
didactic. That's called as a didactic model of teaching. Whereas
Got
what
it.
I am looking at is interactive, and I could say subjective and interactive. That each person is able to design his own courseware from his own subjective point of view, and then take whichever route he wants to master the courseware. Of course, there will
Right.
always be help required. Tutors will be
Right.
available to help, but this enables him to do things on his own.
Got it, Harish. Harish, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for sharing the way you operate and go about your teaching.
Thank you very much, Jax, for having me on. It was a very great experience.
It's my pleasure. Before you leave, I'll just stop the recording.
Sure.